Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland Browns head coach. Mild-mannered, measured, not exactly known for fire and brimstone. But in one press conference, he went from clipboard-wielding coordinator to red-faced, tight-lipped explosion in slow motion, all over one question. Just one. A reporter, probably thinking they were asking something totally reasonable, threw out the now infamous grenade. Why hasn't Shedeur Sanders been getting more first-team reps? I dare you to keep going. And then, boom.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Stefanski snapped, deflected, got snippy, talked over the follow-up, tossed out coach speak like confetti, but you could feel the panic bubbling underneath. The tension was palpable, like someone had just asked him to recite his browser history on live TV. It wasn't just defensive, it was personal. And now the whole league is asking, what exactly is going on in Cleveland? Because this wasn't just a coach annoyed at a pesky question. This was a man cornered. And when NFL coaches start flailing in press conferences over depth chart decisions, it usually means the problems run way deeper than just a young QB riding the bench. Let's break it down. Shedeur Sanders, for those of you who somehow missed the preseason hype reel, has it. Confidence, arm strength, pocket presence, poise, leadership, media savviness. That perfect balance of chill and swagger that screams future franchise QB. He walked into the league with more buzz than most first-round picks, and yet he was taken late, suspiciously late. And now he's buried behind Joe Flacco, who's somehow still defying the aging process, and Dylan Gabriel, a fellow rookie who hasn't exactly set the world on fire. So what gives? Sanders shows up in camp, throws lasers, looks sharp in preseason, racks up 138 yards and 2 touchdowns in limited playtime, and still gets relegated to backup reps, like he's some camp body there to run scout team drills. And when someone dares to ask Stefanski why, meltdown. That press conference wasn't just about one question. It was a crack in the dam, a peek behind the carefully controlled facade. And now, everyone's wondering what kind of dysfunction is bubbling beneath the surface of the Browns' quarterback room. Because this isn't new. The Browns have been wandering the quarterback desert for decades. Since their rebirth in 1999, it's been one cursed carousel of mediocrity after another. You'd think by now they'd recognize a potential star when they see one. But instead of leaning into Shedeur's obvious upside, the coaching staff is treating him like he accidentally wandered into facility with a fake ID and a dream. Why? Let's follow the breadcrumbs. Word around league circles is that Shedeur was not Stefanski's pick. He was a late-round flyer, reportedly brought in as more of a project or developmental depth. Translation: he wasn't part of the coach's original plan. And when a player disrupts the plan, especially one who makes everyone in the building look bad for sleeping on him, things get awkward, uncomfortable, even, and for Stefanski, potentially threatening. Because if Shedeur starts lighting it up, what does that say about the guys Stefanski did choose to prioritize? What does it say about a staff that kept him on the sidelines while the preseason slipped away, even during crucial moments like the 2-minute drill of the final game? Seriously, who benches their most dynamic young QB during a situational drill designed to test exactly what Shedeur excels at? That's not caution. That's control. That's a coaching staff protecting a narrative, one that doesn't involve a breakout star stealing the spotlight and, potentially, their jobs. Let's be blunt here. Stefanski needs a season of work. His seat isn't on fire yet, but it's warm. Lukewarm enough that ownership is watching. The media is circling. And fans? They're done waiting. If this year doesn't deliver playoff momentum and a real plan at quarterback, there's going to be blood in the water. And a quarterback controversy? That's the last thing Stefanski wants. But here's the catch. It's already happening. You can't silence a city that's been quarterback starved for 25 years and expect them to ignore the kid with the cannon arm and the famous last name. Especially not when that kid is being treated like a ghost. No media availability. Minimal reps. Weirdly absent from team promos. It's like they're trying to make everyone forget he's on the roster, which only makes people pay more attention. It's giving intentional blackout. It's giving PR crisis management. It's giving, if we pretend he's not there, maybe we won't have to answer questions about why we're not playing him. And now, it's backfiring. NFL veterans are speaking out. Travis Kelce allegedly raised eyebrows over the snub. Derek Carr, of all people, reportedly questioned the fairness of the setup. Former players are side-eyeing the decision-making. The whispers are turning into critiques. The critiques are turning into pressure. And the Browns? They're fumbling the optics hard. Because here's the cruel irony. By trying to protect their fragile QB hierarchy, they're destabilizing it even more. Every week Sanders sits, the fan base grows more impatient. Every deflection from Stefanski looks more defensive. Every denial just confirms what we already suspect. They're scared of what happens if he succeeds. And that's the most dangerous kind of coaching environment you can create. One where fear of disruption outweighs the pursuit of greatness. Let's not forget, Sanders isn't just any late-round rookie. He's a cultural lightning rod, a player who grew up in the game, trained by Coach Prime, already has a fan base, already carries himself like a pro. The guy knows how to lead a locker room. He knows how to perform under pressure. And he's ready, even if the staff won't admit it. And now the league is watching closely because this isn't about one press conference anymore. It's about how franchises treat their talent, how they develop players, whether they're willing to put ego aside and do what's best for the team, or whether they'll sabotage a young star just to protect the status quo. The Browns have a choice. They can keep Shedeur buried, risk another season of mediocrity, and hope fans don't riot when Flacco throws 3-yard checkdowns for 17 weeks. Or they can open the door, let Sanders compete, let him earn it, give him the snaps, give him the spotlight, and see what happens. Worst case, he's not ready, and you go back to plan A. Best case, you just found a quarterback of your future, and save your franchise from another decade of irrelevance. But one thing's clear, this pressure cooker can't hold much longer. Stefanski's outburst was just a start. The media will keep pressing. The fans will keep demanding. And if Sanders keeps grinding behind the scenes, proving himself in practice, outshining the vets, they won't be able to keep him hidden. The league has seen this story before. A coach protects his guy, buries a rookie, loses a locker room, and then gets blindsided when that rookie finally gets a chance and blows everyone away. It's giving Tom Brady over Drew Bledsoe. It's giving Russell Wilson over Matt Flynn. It's giving every Cinderella QB arc we've seen, where the kid no one expected to start ends up rewriting the entire team's history. Will Shedeur be that guy? Too soon to tell. But one thing's for sure, you don't keep a star hidden forever. Eventually, he shines, whether the coach wants him to or not. So what do you think? Is Shedeur getting the short end of the playbook? Was Stefanski's reaction a red flag, or just a bad day under pressure? And how long until the Browns have no choice but to let the kid cook? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We know you've got opinions. And if you're as addicted to this kind of football drama as we are, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because this saga, it's just getting started. And when the next chapter drops, trust us, you'll want to be here for it. The pressure Kevin Stefanski is under right now. Think about it. The Browns aren't just another team trying to figure it out. They are the cautionary tale of the modern NFL. A revolving door of quarterbacks, coaches, and GMs. A franchise haunted by the ghost of almost. A team that drafts talent like a fantasy league and then burns in broad daylight for reasons no one can explain. And now, when they finally stumble into something different, someone with charisma, poise, upside, and actual game-changing potential, they freeze. They panic. Because what happens if Shedeur actually turns out to be the guy? What happens to the narrative Stefanski has been building for years? The one where patience is a plan, and leadership means protecting the veterans, and development really just means stay quiet and wait your turn? It crumbles. It shatters. Because Shedeur's existence disrupts the entire strategy. He's not just a quarterback. He's a symbol of talent overlooked, of swagger unfiltered, of a new generation that doesn't wait around to be chosen. They show up, they show out, and they demand the mic. And that terrifies the old guard. Let's not pretend otherwise. NFL coaching at its core is a control game. Schemes, scripts, reps, rotations. Every part practice is designed to maintain hierarchy and discipline. So when someone like Sanders comes along who doesn't fit cleanly into that hierarchy, but still outperforms, you either embrace the disruption or you suppress it. And what we're seeing in Cleveland feels a lot like suppression. Shedeur's reps aren't just limited. They're curated. He's being trotted out in low-stakes, low-visibility situations. His highlights are buried under press clippings about room for improvement and rookie learning curves. It's like they're trying to dim the lights before he gets a chance to shine. And when you ask about it, when you dare to poke the bear at a press conference, Stefanski goes DEFCON 1 on a local reporter just doing their job. That's not leadership. That's fragility. Let's call it what it is. Because if Stefanski were confident in his quarterback choices, he wouldn't need to get rattled by a fair question. He'd calmly explain the process, talk development timelines, emphasize patience. But that's not what happened. Instead, he lashed out. And when a coach lashes out that hard about a third-string quarterback, that means the pressure's hitting bone. The locker room sees it. The front office sees it. And most importantly, Shedeur sees it. And let me tell you something. Players always know when they're being boxed out. They see who gets first-team reps, who gets media love, who gets protected, and who gets ghosted. You think Shedeur doesn't notice that he's the only quarterback on that depth chart not getting public support from his coach? Please, this is a kid raised by one of the most media-savvy athletes in history. He knows how narratives are shaped. He knows when he's being iced out. And based on his composure, he also knows exactly what he has to do. Wait, watch, work, and pounce when the moment comes. Because the moment will come. The NFL is chaos. It's injuries, bad games, slumps, politics, locker room whispers, and media storms. One bad start from Flacco, one too many checkdowns from Gabriel, and boom, Shedeur's in. And when that happens, if he balls out, which, let's be honest, he probably will, everything changes. The pressure flips. Suddenly it's Stefanski under fire for waiting too long. Suddenly the fans are screaming, why wasn't this guy starting all along? Suddenly you've got national coverage debating whether Shedeur just saved the Browns from themselves. That's the thing about pressure. It doesn't go away. It just shifts. And right now, that shift is already starting. NFL analysts are poking holes in Stefanski's logic. Players around the league are sending veiled support in interviews. Fans are making noise online, and it's only going to get louder because the Browns can't keep hiding from the obvious forever. You don't stumble onto a quarterback with Shedeur's presence and then pretend he's just another developmental arm. That's not how this works anymore. We live in the post-Brock Purdy world now. The post-Russell Wilson, post-Tom Brady world where draft position means nothing and performance means everything. And Shedeur, he's got that intangible that you can't teach. Call it confidence. Call it pedigree. Call it that guy energy. He walks onto the field and people pay attention. Not because of his name, but because he plays like someone who knows he belongs. That's the part the Browns can't coach around. That's the part they can't fake with control reps and sideline pep talks. He has it, and Stefanski knows it. That's why he snapped. Because Shedeur represents both the opportunity of a lifetime and the biggest threat to the coach's control over the team. If Shedeur shines, Stefanski's system gets rewritten. His authority gets questioned. His hand-picked quarterback room gets flipped on its head. And for a coach on a hot seat, that's terrifying. But here's the twist. If Stefanski embraced the disruption, if he owned it, leaned into it, and let Shedeur loose, he might actually save himself. Imagine it. Stefanski gets credit for unearthing a hidden gem, for having the guts to pivot mid-season, for reviving the franchise with a bold, against-the-grain move. He'd go from defensive meltdown to comeback coach of the year. All he has to do is stop fighting the inevitable. But will he? History says no. NFL coaches rarely admit when they're wrong. They double down. They get stubborn. They micromanage until the whole thing implodes because they'd rather go down with the ship than admit they missed the obvious. And that's what's so tragic here. Because everyone wants Shedeur to succeed. The fans, the media, his teammates. You can feel the energy building. All it takes is one decision to let him take the reins. And the Browns could finally start building something real. But every week he rides a bench, every week he's sidelined during high-leverage moments, that's another crack in the franchise's foundation. Eventually, it won't just be Stefanski under pressure. It'll be the entire front office, ownership, scouts, PR, because when talent gets wasted in the NFL, it never stays quiet for long. So here we are, waiting, watching, wondering how long the Browns can keep dancing around the truth before it kicks down the door and demands to be heard. Because Shedeur Sanders will get his moment. And when he does, you better believe we'll all be watching. This whole Shedeur Sanders situation is hitting such a nerve. Not just with Kevin Stefanski, but with Browns fans, NFL media, and literally anyone who's paid attention to Cleveland's never-ending quarterback carousel since Y2K. Because this isn't just about one player getting benched. This is about the Browns being the Browns. Again, somehow, in spite of all the rebuilding, the high draft picks, the GM musical chairs, the bold trades, the analytics overhaul, here we are, back in familiar territory. Another talented young quarterback. Another coaching staff afraid to take the training wheels off. Another chapter in Cleveland's eternal football Groundhog Day. And people are fed up. Let's be honest, Cleveland fans know football. These aren't fair weather, foam finger casuals. These are people who suffered through every misstep, every overhyped bust, every heartbreakingly short playoff run. They've watched this team eat its own potential year after year, like it's some kind of cursed ritual. And now they're looking at Shedeur, watching the poise, the athleticism, the football IQ, the composure. And they're screaming at their TVs like, why are we doing this again? It's maddening. Because this isn't some mystery prospect with a high ceiling and a low floor. This is a guy who's been groomed for this moment since middle school, who has football in his DNA, who's been coached by Deion Sanders, trained in elite systems, and performed on national television with more pressure on him than some NFL starters have ever felt. And yet third string? Still, you can't make it make sense. And when a journalist finally has a nerve to ask the question everyone's been screaming into the void for weeks, Kevin Stefanski melts down like a microwave cheeseburger. Let's talk about that moment, actually, because it wasn't just an outburst. It was a tell. You don't get that defensive unless you feel cornered. Unless the question is uncomfortably close to the truth. Unless you know that what's happened behind the scenes doesn't match what you're selling in the press conferences. The reporter didn't accuse him of anything. They didn't demand a quarterback change. They simply asked why Shedeur isn't getting more first-team reps. A simple question. And Stefanski's response? It was like someone accused him of grand larceny on live television. You could feel the tension in the room shift. The body language, the clipped tone, the lack of eye contact. It all screamed one thing, guilt. Not the kind of guilt where you've done something nefarious, but the kind where you know you're playing politics and you're starting to get called out. Because let's be honest, there's politics in every NFL locker room. Coaches have their guys. The ones they trust. The ones they picked. The ones they believe can execute their system the way it was drawn up on the whiteboard. And then sometimes a player shows up who doesn't fit the plan, but outperforms everyone anyway. That's Shedeur Sanders right now. He wasn't supposed to be part of the core QB conversation. The pick was strategic, low risk, developmental, no pressure. But then he came into camp and flashed. In preseason, he looked more than serviceable. He looked dynamic. And that's when everything got complicated. Because if Shedeur becomes a real option, it forces a reckoning. With the quarterback room, with the offensive scheme, with the depth chart, with the coach himself. And that's not what Stefanski planned for. He wanted a safe, controlled season, a steady veteran presence, a predictable offense that could grind out wins and keep the headlines quiet. But instead, he got a young QB with serious upside and a very loud support system in the media, on social media, and in the locker room. Let's not ignore that part. Players are talking. You don't have that many veterans, rookies, and former NFL stars all singing the same tune about Shedeur without it being real. This isn't hype from a highlight reel. This is on-field energy. This is behind-closed-doors performance. This is teammates saying, "We see it. Why don't the coaches?" And when that gap exists between what the players know and what the coaches enforce, that's when a team starts to fracture. You think it's just the fans frustrated? Think again. There are guys in that locker room who've been in the league long enough to know when someone's being held back. They know what it looks like when politics get in the way of progress. They've seen what happens when coaches refuse to pivot until it's too late. And if this continues, if Stefanski doubles down and keeps Shedeur's sideline out of pride, fear, or some misguided attempt to stay the course, he's going to lose the locker room. It always starts subtle. Quiet side conversations, frustration during practice, reduced buy-in, and then when the losses start piling up, it becomes audible, public, unavoidable. And here's the real kicker. All of this could be avoided with one simple decision. Let the kid play. Not every snap. Not every game. Just some meaningful reps. Let him lead a 2-minute drill. Let him open a second half. Let him run with the starters in a joint practice and see what happens. You don't even need to crown him QB1. You just need to stop hiding him like he's a secret you're ashamed of. Because right now, it looks like sabotage, whether it is or not. And that perception is going to become reality if something doesn't change. And let's be clear, this isn't about being unfair to Shedeur. He'll be fine either way. He's got the skill, the mental toughness, and the DNA to survive bad coaching decisions. His moment will come, whether in Cleveland or somewhere else. This is about the Browns. This is about whether they've learned anything from their 2 decades of quarterback chaos. Whether they can finally stop tripping over their own arrogance and let talent rise, regardless of where it came from or who picked it. Because if they don't, they're going to lose again. Not just games. Not just fans. They'll lose trust from the locker room, from the league, from the next wave of young talent watching, and wondering if Cleveland is a place where potential goes to die. And all of that starts with this one decision. It's not too late. Not yet. But that clock is ticking. And Shedeur Sanders, he's not going to wait forever. So what's it going to be, Cleveland? Another missed opportunity. Another young star mismanaged into oblivion? Or the beginning of something finally worth building around? Because if you ask the fans, the players, the analysts, hell, even that reporter who got scorched at the mic, the answer's already obvious. Let him play. Let him play. If you're still watching, you know the drill. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Stefanski's afraid of being wrong? Is this just cautious coaching? Or are we witnessing a slow-motion sabotage in real time? And if you love this kind of football drama, locker room tension, coach meltdowns, generational talent getting benched for no reason, make sure you subscribe. Because we've got eyes on every scandal, every quarterback controversy, every power play. This isn't just football. This is the NFL's greatest soap opera. And trust us, you do not want to miss the next episode.